Hello, nice to meet you everyone. Click like and subscribe. You will be blessed and successful. It's me.
Mr. President, how have you been? Could you give me an interview for a few minutes?
I'm busy, but oh then.
Let me explain briefly. Thank you so much. There was an oil shock in the 1970s. The OFICO pack. This is an incident that put pressure on the global economy by raising oil prices wildly among themselves. As a result, a period of world depression appeared, and many advanced capitalist countries suffered from stagflation, which caused huge inflation of 15 or 20% every year and economic recession at the same time. But then I wonder why the 252 shock ultimately led to this stagflation in this advanced capitalist country. It doesn't work. I wanted to hear the president's explanation on this. Yes.
Since oil prices are rising, of course, capitalists have the highest proportion of all materials, starting with films, and all costs are empty.
Oh, I see.
Oil-producing countries have significant power over the economy. You can think of the economy as being driven by the oil-producing countries, but stagflation means that prices go up and the economy goes down. Prices go up and the economy goes down. Stagflation means that prices go up, oil prices go up. When oil prices go up, the economy slows down. When jobs go down, the economy becomes active. This means that oil-producing countries are using whips and carrots on the world economy. If you use some conjugation and then you use sweets and then you do this, only then can the price of oil be controlled.
When labor costs are high or further increase, they typically lower oil prices during economic downturns and raise them again when the economy improves. So why do developed countries deflate? Prices drop and money's value rises, indicating some level of inflation.
Stagflation?
You said you had stagflation, right? So that is...
Deflation is the opposite of stagflation. Deflation means prices go down and the value of money goes up. Now we are deflated. It's the opposite of inflation. Inflation means prices go up and the value of money goes down, while deflation means prices go down and the value of money goes up. But stagflation is the same as deflator inflation as prices rise. The decline in the game does not mean the value of money is going down now.
Our country is currently in a deflation situation. So prices are going down and the value of money is going up, which is more dangerous. So the oil-producing countries want inflation to occur slightly and the economy to go down. Doing that will only bring that game down a little, so there's not much hope. But this means that oil-producing countries are not trying to create deflation. Inflation or stagflation has nothing to do with the world economy. It would be good for the future of the game for them to upload it and create stagflation. This is what I mean. They keep repeating stagflation and inflation. Look at the same situation in our country. The price is not going down, but the value of gold is going up. Deflation is happening. So this is because the demand for cash is chaotic, because people can't get cash. Cash goes out and goes overseas. Yes, the value of money goes up and prices go down, but it's strange that the value of money goes up. Is that a strange economy? So what do you do when the value of money goes up? We need quantitative easing. Then prices will rise and the value of money will return to normal. So the value of money will have to fall. Currently, there's deflation. Money's value rises, prices drop. During such times, it's essential to take money. I've created a second and acquired numerous national bonds.
We have secured a lot of bonds that need to be paid for all those bonds, and there are many bonds in our country that can't be used for anything. So those bonds, you have to buy it and take money. Then this deflation turns into stagflation.
President, what else do you want to know? So the inflation of this stack occurs, and at that time in the 1970s, among the advanced capitalist countries, our central banks have to become inflation fighters. He came up with a new economic policy that says controlling inflation should be the #1 goal. So, depending on the inflation figure, each central bank will implement a new economic policy that requires that interest rates be high or low. So what Paul Volcker, who was then chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank of the United States, took was this super powerful policy of raising interest rates. I raised the Fed's interest rate to a maximum of 20%. So at first, we succeeded in catching inflation rising from 15 to 20% every year. But Paul Volcker said, so although there are many points of view now, as a result, we caught this high price inflation that plagued the United States in the 1970s and 1980s. So what? By and large, people thought Paul Volcker was a great Fed camouflage. I mean, I'm doing this and I'm evaluating it highly. But in my opinion, raising the Fed's interest rate is the same as recovering dollars in the market. If you recover the dollars circulating in that market, the domestic market will not be as active. And then the people's consumer sentiment will shrink further. If consumer sentiment shrinks, of course prices will fall, but of course prices will be held, but the economic recession will become worse anyway. Yes, you are dying, patients. Don't suffer and suffer for no reason. Just die quickly. Then it's good not to suffer. I think I'm using this method, but I don't think this is the right solution. Governor.
So they adjust prices with interest rates. If you control weapons and raise interest rates, of course you won't sell things. So the United States had the ability to regulate production and consumption. This is the US Federal Reserve all over the world.
It appears to have built an economy. If the Fed raises interest rates, the global economy will decline. So the US Federal Reserve is a gathering of civilians. It's not national. Then civilians are capitalists with money. The whole world of the American capital market is at play, and the Jews control that capital market. The Jews are holding on. The loss of the Jews will affect the entire world economy.
Who are these Jews exactly? All right, this sheep is Korean. So the future remains a possibly Geden war between the Jews and the people. You know what? There is still a war left in which Western powers say that the Korean Peninsula is now entering World War III, and the Korean Peninsula is probably a war. I am coming from the sky for the last time. So these Western forces split the Korean Peninsula in two, and here perhaps the trajectory is a conflict between Jews and one nation.
Then?
Who sets the premise? Do American Jews do that? I really understand. The Jews will lead the world war.
There is.
Do the Korean people lack power? Now, these people have managed to conquer the world. That is the power of evil. Got it. Those are the incarnations of war. That's Kissinger, and the Jews of the United States are now swarming between the president and his associates. But they were practicing war on the Korean Peninsula again. It would be better to do it. It would be better not to do it. So they bought it like this. You are creating such a world. They don't abruptly invade the world or manufacture public opinion in their favor. However, Kyung Young has emerged, correct? Kyung Young is the central topic. The population of the small Jewish community and the small Han people are roughly similar. We confront each other in World War III. It was humanity's final great war. There will be a huge victim. Then I'll deal with it because I'm looking at this like a ghost in the mirror.
January 4th, the 50th anniversary.
Go down to Mang, go under the important bridge, you come here and see me. There are not so many Huisu in the future, but this is the greatest happiness.
You have to know.
You know Illuminati, right? Illuminate Kyung Young, a person like this.
Can you explain what, Professor?
Individuals. He's definitely mistaken. When I eradicated the middle class, I essentially generated 90% of the middle class. I'm the one who promotes centralism. It's a pioneering effort globally. But I am the middle class, and he totally misunderstood that. Additionally, that individual claimed that the enemy forces arrived in this world on their own and subsequently unified the world, only to then impose their will.
He said, that's what he said.
Does that sound okay? Do you understand that Christ is an Illuminati and a Jew, Jewish?
Our country possesses formidable power.
Finance is holding all the world's finances. Would I be sitting there looking at the sky? If I hold it all, the war of Armageddon here is between the Jews and the people.
It's a war.
A third world war broke out between the Jewish people and the Han people, and what appears here is self-access. I'm a beginner, hence Christ can be seen as a sort of devil. What if the tiger descended upon the earth? Can we consider Kyung Young as an Illuminati or not? No matter who looks at me, I will know if women look at me, but I think I will have approached.
Absolutely insane. This world economy cannot be corrected without Jewish influence, and thus they employ their financial prowess to globally strategize. If Korea is targeted now, will it face devastation? We should have intervened earlier, taken the funds, and executed quantitative easing sans the IMF. Global banking institutions must abolish interest rates, and with zero retained interest rates, the outcome bears questioning. The world economy no longer has stagflation or deflation like this. It's going to go back to normal. Now you pay a fee and leave the money in the bank, right? The global capital markets move like this because of interest rates. So money cannot be moved back and forth between countries without interest. The principle is to leave it to the capital market and do it autonomously without regulation, because the US Federal Reserve is a group of Jews, and this is dragged around.
If you assume that the governor was Paul Volcker, who was the chairman of the Federal Reserve in the 1970s, at that time, the oil shock caused stagflation, then I think the governor will use some other method other than raising interest rates.
I am different from humans.
I think you use this method, Mr. President.
Indeed, they strategically protected their capital, necessitating perpetually lowered interest rates to stabilize conditions.
Desirable.
Crab.
No, there weren't many people eating heresy at that time, in the early days of capital markets. Not many people put money in the bank. There were a lot of people who wanted to get a loan and start a business, right? So the lower interest rates, the more the world economy will boom. If interest rates are raised, the world game will go down. In the United States, the Federal Reserve is already playing with the world game, even now.
Yes.
Yes.
There must be undeniable consensus to resolve this issue. Is it true we have global operations centered on Wall Street?
Obviously, so what I'm curious about is, should I just leave this stagflation alone instead of catching it?
Yes, indeed.
What financial figure do you require, Sean? It's crucial we shift back towards inflationary measures.
So here's my perspective. We're dealing with an unusual scenario where multiple Middle Eastern nations have conspired to escalate oil prices. Observing such a phenomenon is quite uncommon. Additionally, I'm concerned that merely hiking interest rates, aiming to tackle stagflation, could potentially exacerbate the situation.
To catch the three bugs that lower interest rates, you have to lower interest rates.
Should I lower interest rates?
You have to pay taxes. Do you have to lower the interest rate to catch it?
Oh, I see. Oh, so interest rates have to be low to save the economy anyway.
Yes.
Yes.
Understood.
Prices go up, the economy goes down, and prices affect interest rates. Because our country is deflated, this is not so good. If this happens, the Federal Reserve will now freeze interest rates, adjust this and freeze them. But now the world game was normal. It was a boom. Then Yunjin was doing well. Then when capitalists steadily accumulate capital, they catch it again.
Yes, once in a while, so the world is playing with geniuses.
Is it the economy?
Really, and it was President Kyung Young who showed up to correct this.
Yes, indeed, and much more.
The last occurrence of the Great Depression was in 1929. During this period, the Dow surged to 380, but subsequently nosedived to a mere 40 over 4 years, erasing a staggering 90% of its value.
But this...
While the causes of the Great Depression remain shrouded in mystery, it is notably intriguing that in 1929, the US Federal Reserve instituted a policy to slash the money supply, curtailing by 25% annually the monetary reserves they customarily provided during that era.
Baik, bro.
This means that the supply was reduced by 15% every year, and this currency was supplied. In a way, the Fed's monetary policy is like this. I wonder if it didn't bring about the Great Depression in the United States and around the world. Is it?
Such an event unfurled.
Bega, yes.
Even in 29 years, a small number of geniuses are playing such pranks and taking their profits. Thank you very much for the interview today. The Saudi Arabian oil price war has wrong. 4. Woody's state-owned oil company Aramco said in a press release on March 10th that it would increase production to 1203.1 million barrels per day as soon as April begins. This means that Saudi Arabia will virtually fully operate its oil-producing capacity, which means that it has declared an oil price war with competing oil-producing countries Russia and the United States.
International oil prices are down more than 20%. Mr. President, after the sale revolution, the reason for the collapse occurred in 2015. So what I am curious about at this time is that when the collapse occurred 5 years ago, the planned business of Samsung, Hyundai Daewoo, and the 3 major shipbuilding companies went bankrupt. It was very difficult. Governor, so there was a time when the subcontractors under him were also a mess. So recently, Jordan has shown signs of revival, but now oil prices have plummeted by more than 20%, right? Mr. President, I would like to hear your opinion on what impact this oil price plunge will have on the shipbuilding industry, which operates the plant businesses of Samsung Daewoo, Hyundai Lee 3 generations, and shipbuilding companies in the future.
Nothing has a big impact. In Joseon, those people's orders for ships are not increasing so rapidly, so the price of oil has dropped very sharply again, and these people may reduce it again at some point. Well, I'm not trying to do that subserviently.
Whole
Country. It is difficult to run production with grass. This is not a big problem. Don't worry. There are times when the people who produce that oil produce a lot, and even if it goes down a little in the future, there are times when they need some funds. At that time, they overproduce. Since there is a coronavirus situation, I think Saudi Arabia has made some kind of policy. Aramco bought our country's S-oil. Kyung Young occupied. Aramco is the Saudi state-owned oil company. Kings are masters. Kings are masters. That's why they acquired Sangyong and became a quite large oil company, now a Saudi company. So the reason why they are raising oil prices like that is because the economy itself is a bit erotic. Or something else. Saudi Arabia is making a big investment somewhere. And Saudi Arabia is currently working on many projects, but the money supported by the people is now funded somewhere. Conclusions that you have invested a lot. There is no reason to produce such a flow. Why is that such a big problem for me? Not a bad thing going down.
Oh, is it?
It's a good phenomenon, right?
Going down is a good thing.
It does not affect our industry because those people are ordering a lot of ships to China these days. China will suffer more damage if they ship, and this is a temporary phenomenon. It's a phenomenon. It can't be continuously produced with grass, so the more the United States takes it, the more oil prices are getting cheaper. So these people are now mass producing oil and actually increasing consumption by lowering international oil prices. It's about increasing sales. Then rather than being dragged over there towards the United States and towards other oil-producing countries, they are trying to take some initiative.
The young man is curious about what happens next. Now, what is the future prospect of Samsung Daewoo Hyundai Korea's shipbuilding industry? Governor?
Whose future prospects are still this good?
Oh, can I?
Due to the coronavirus, aviation is cautious, yet improving.
In progress. Then let me ask you another question. This ship can't move around because this is abandoned in the Russian Sea.
So, due to such geopolitical conditions, according to Russia's geopolitical location, a stationary location is needed. I think Putin, who is thirsty for stationary ports, may take this geopolitical location into consideration and move to find stationary ports. I would like to hear your opinion. I think Russia will stay and avoid policy.
It remains because from China, let's take the coastal states, so we connected with North Korea. It also connected with South Korea and succeeded in the South-South Korea policy.
Oh, have you succeeded in staying policy now?
Successful.
I know, beggar.
Japan, and yes, they border the Republic of Korea and North Korea. So to the east, it is very close to Japan. China has failed there. China has taken away the port it needs to go to. Coastal subject.
Thank you so much, Governor. But when I study your policies, what I feel is that Japanese politicians and the economic level are higher than that of our country.
These days, Japan is not a perfect country, but if you look at things like bold quantitative easing policies, policies that do not have an inheritance tax, policies that encourage the growth of companies, and the national character of the Japanese people, Korea, I think it's at a higher level than people, Governor, but still, it's not like these Japanese people are just paying national dividends or giving maternity benefits to solve aging or anything like that. You are not following the governor's 3-3 policy. When you look at the president of Japan, I am also curious about what the problems of Japan are, Governor.
Japan is now encouraging growth, mainly in companies, and we should now drill up, but we are in the process of downgrading things like this, so we are surprised and run companies.
That's a bit of a long-term approach, right? We're in a hurry right now, so we have to trickle bubble and we have to lift it up. So we have to lift it up.
Below, further down.
We have to be undefeated. It supports the bottom, rises from the bottom again, and rises from the bottom of the triplane to rot.
Thank you, Mr. President. And finally, well, South Korea's domestic economy has died due to the aftermath of the coronavirus. Mr. President, do people now see it as the coronavirus or the economic crisis? I'm in a lot of pain right now. I would like to hear the governor's opinion on the fundamental measures to solve these serious problems that the people are suddenly experiencing.
We need to make quantitative easing unemployed and give 100 million per household as soon as possible. Next, you have to pay a national dividend of 1.5 million won each. And if you get married, you have to give 200 million won in housing funds and 100 or 50 million won, which is urgent. Yes. Who is going to do quantitative easing like this? When we reach 151 people, we are going to do a lot of buying and selling to the country. After the election in April, we have to give money starting in May. We cannot imitate the Japanese economy by 100 million yen. We are different from those people's so-called patterns. So we need to get into both parties quickly.
All right. So we should quickly implement quantitative easing, provide emergency livelihood support of 100 million won per household, support national dividends and maternity benefits. Quickly support things like the National Foundation allowance. Quickly restore the economy,
Is important.
Finally, the Prime Minister, I would like to ask for your message of hope to the people of the Republic of Korea who are enduring hard day by day.
If there are 151 people this time, if the National People's Party reaches 151 people in May, we will distribute resumes to 20 million households in May. This is how we live. That's 2-year salary. That's why there are many people who can't pay their employees' salaries or rent. Then, save all the young businessmen.
Yes, thank my Prime Minister.
Much appreciated. Gaze into my eyes and feel happiness, alleviating hunger with this act. You can hear and call Xu Jingying. Would you like to undertake a test?
Now, harness the cosmic energy emitted from Kyung Young's eyes, right?